Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. When I say the name Genghis Khan, what images immediately spring to mind now?
Mhm.
Is it legions of horsemen thundering across the vast treeless steppes, leaving a trail of, well, astonishing destruction in their wake?
That's often the first image, yeah.
Or maybe the quiet, ruthless architect of the largest contiguous land empire the world has ever seen?
Right. The scale is just staggering.
A figure whose name is synonymous with terrifying, almost unfathomable power, yet undeniably one who reshaped a continent, and in many profound ways, the very trajectory of human history.
It's true. His name evokes such a visceral reaction, doesn't it? A complex blend of fear and awe.
Definitely.
He's often simply labeled as purely barbaric, a ruler of terror. And while the brutality of this conquest is, well, it's undeniable, our diverse sources today paint a much more nuanced picture.
A surprising one, even.
Frankly, yes. And we're going to embark on an extensive deep dive into the extraordinary life and multifaceted legacy of this singular individual.
Exactly. Today, we're not just exploring the legendary conqueror. We're going to peel back those layers to uncover the complex leader, the visionary strategist, who rose from the humblest, most desperate origins to forge an empire that, at its zenith, stretched from the Pacific Ocean all the way to Eastern Europe.
An almost unimaginable expanse.
We'll unpack his revolutionary strategies, his often surprising innovations in governance, and the profound, enduring impact that continues to resonate across continents and even, as we'll see, in our own DNA today.
And to truly do that, we've pulled from an incredible array of historical and scientific sources. I mean, we're talking about ancient, almost mythological chronicles like the secret history of the Mongols.
Which was kept secret for generations, right?
Exactly, guarded with intense secrecy.
hmm
But we're looking at that alongside more modern archaeological findings that bring the physical reality of his world to life.
Okay.
We've also delved into fascinating psychological profiles that attempt to understand the mind behind the legend, and even cutting-edge genetic studies that reveal a direct biological legacy.
Wow, genetics too.
Yes. So this really is an unprecedented chance to unpack centuries of information and go far beyond the myths that have long obscured the truth.
Our mission is clear then. We want to understand the man behind that fearsome reputation.
Right. Beyond the caricature.
We're going to peel back the layers of legend and simplistic labels to truly grasp how one man, born into such dire circumstances, could achieve such monumental feats, not just in conquest, but in state building, and leave such an indelible mark on human history. So let's begin to unpack this incredible journey.
Let's do it.
All right, let's journey back in time over 800 years to the windswept, vast Mongolian plateau. We're around 1160 or maybe 1162, somewhere in there.
Around that time, yeah.
The time when the boy who would eventually become Genghis Khan first drew breath. His birth name was Temujin, and he was the son of a minor chieftain named Yasuge, part of the Borjigin clan. Can you help us picture what life was like in such a place for a child growing up in that specific environment?
It's crucial to understand that the Mongolian plateau was a truly unforgiving and relentless environment. I mean, really harsh.
How harsh are we talking?
Imagine extreme winters with temperatures plunging to minus 40 degrees Celsius, sometimes even colder,
Yeah.
capable of killing entire herds, entire human settlements.
Minus 40!
Wow. And then the summers could bring devastating droughts, threatening the very pasture lands their survival depended on. It wasn't a unified land either. It was fragmented, dangerous. A patchwork of warring nomadic tribes. The Tatars, Urmukid, Nayman, Karaite, many others.
So constant conflict.
Constant conflict. Life was a brutal struggle for dominance, for resources, and quite literally, for bare survival.
In this world, children learned to ride almost before they could walk, right? Often starting at just 3 or 4 years old.
Absolutely. It wasn't just play.
No, it was essential. They weren't simply playing, they were mastering the essential skill for survival.
Yeah.
By early childhood, they were already training with bows and arrows, learning to shoot from horseback.
From horseback, yeah,
Mm.
that's key.
They learned to endure incredible hardship from a very young age. Hunger, thirst, extreme cold. This wasn't merely a lifestyle. It was a harsh, unrelenting training ground that prepared them, unknowingly, for the unprecedented conquests that were to come.
And even by those incredibly harsh standards, Temujin's childhood was particularly traumatic. A pivotal moment, a truly formative trauma, came when he was about 9 years old.
His father's poisoning.
Exactly. His father, Yasuge, was poisoned by the Tatars, enemies of his clan, shortly after betrothing Temujin to a girl named Borte. This was an act of brutal revenge, and it left Temujin's family incredibly vulnerable.
Strip them of their protector.
Completely. Their provider, their standing in the clan, gone.
Vulnerable is truly an understatement. What happened next was devastating. Rather than rally around Yasuge's family, the clan, what did they do?
They abandoned them. Fearing weakness, maybe seeing an opportunity, they completely abandoned Temujin's mother, Halun, and her young children. Cast out.
Just left them.
Left them with nothing. No protection, no resources, forced to survive on whatever meager sustenance they could find. Roots, wild berries, tiny game.
That's brutal.
Some historical sources are so stark as to claim they were reduced to making clothes from mouse skins.
Mouse skins? Good grief.
It's a chilling testament to their destitution.
Yeah.
There's a powerful Mongol proverb that perfectly captures this sense of complete loss. The deepest water dries up, the brightest stone crumbles.
Wow. That says it all.
That experience undeniably forged his character. It instilled a profound resilience. They were outcasts, living on the margins, and it was in this crucible of destitution that Temujin learned to find strength and absolute loyalty within his immediate family when all external tribal support had vanished.
And his mother, Halun.
An extraordinarily resilient and wise figure, she taught her children a crucial lesson about unity that resonated throughout his life. Together you can withstand any enemy, but a single arrow is easily broken.
A powerful metaphor.
Absolutely. This idea of collective strength born from dire necessity would later become a defining hallmark of his leadership, extending far beyond his own kin.
And then another deeply traumatic yet revealing event further shaped him. Around age 12, something pretty shocking happened.
Yes, he committed a brutal act. He killed his elder half-brother, Bektor.
Killed his own brother. Why?
In a dispute over hunting spoils, basically a small fish. Bektor, being older, had asserted his dominance and stolen the meager catch.
So Temujin reacted decisively.
Ruthlessly. While this was a serious crime in Mongol society, this act clearly established Temujin's fierce dominance within his immediate family. It showed a nascent pragmatism, an unforgiving will even at that young age, a boy who would do whatever was necessary to assert his place.
It's a stark picture of survival.
Indeed, and the cycle of trauma continued. Shortly after that, Temujin himself was captured by the Tai-Tiid clan.
The Tai-Chud. Weren't they once followers of his father?
They were, but now they saw him as a potential threat. He was subjected to a restrictive wooden collar, known as a king, typically used for slaves.
A king, like a public humiliation device.
Exactly, and displayed from yurt to yurt as an object of derision and humiliation, designed to break his spirit.
I can only imagine that humiliation being paraded like that. But he managed to escape, didn't he?
He did. He smashed the wooden collar against a rock and fled into the night. And what's truly fascinating, adding a layer of unexpected humanity to this brutal world.
What happened?
A Tai-Chud pursuer, a man named Soran Shira, spotted him hiding in a river, but inexplicably chose not to reveal his location.
Really? Why would he do that?
We don't know for sure, but Temujin never forgot that act of mercy. Later, when he rose to power, he rewarded Soran Shira handsomely.
That's incredible.
This whole experience, being hunted, captured, humiliated, escaping, and this unexpected kindness, it instilled in him an unshakable resolve. Never again be weak.
He would always be the one in control.
Always, from that point on.
It was truly a crucible that forged his leadership. After escaping, he reunited with his family and, crucially, sought out his betrothed, Borte.
Right. Their marriage, around age 16, was more than just personal. It created an important alliance with her tribe, the Ungirad.
Giving him his first real political connection.
His first tangible power base beyond his immediate impoverished family. The very beginnings.
And he was remarkably strategic with his wedding gift. A magnificent black sable coat, a truly valuable item on the steppe.
Extremely valuable.
He didn't keep it for himself. Instead, he immediately used this coat to gain influence with powerful tribal elders and, perhaps most importantly, with Togrul, the Carrot Khan.
Togrul was his late father's blood brother, Andrna, a powerful figure.
So, a key connection.
Absolutely. Temujin presented the coat as a deeply respectful gift, securing Togrul's promise of support. He famously declared something like, "I will be your right hand, and together we will unite the felt tent-dwelling people."
Wow, that's quite a statement for a young man with few resources.
It wasn't just diplomacy, it was a declaration of intent for a future that stretched far beyond his current standing. Pure ambition.
This alliance proved timely, even vital. Soon after his marriage, disaster struck again.
Yes, the Merkit tribe, old enemies of his father who'd once kidnapped his mother, raided his camp in an act of brutal revenge, and abducted Borte.
His wife kidnapped.
Yes, but Temujin, demonstrating his budding leadership and unwavering loyalty, immediately launched his first military campaign to rescue her.
How did he manage that?
He did so with Chogrul's crucial support and, ironically, the assistance of his childhood friend and future formidable rival, Jamuka.
Their relationship is a whole story in itself, isn't it?
It really is. We'll get more into that.
And he succeeded in rescuing Borte, but with a complication that speaks volumes about his character.
Ah, yes. Borte was pregnant when she was rescued. The child, Joshi. Well, the paternity was uncertain.
Which, in that society, prizing clear lineage must have been a huge issue.
It could have been. Yet Temujin, demonstrating remarkable pragmatism about family, loyalty, and competence, openly claimed the boy as his own. He accepted him fully. This act showed that for him, loyalty and capability mattered more than traditional notions of birth or clear lineage, a truly revolutionary concept in that deeply hierarchical tribal society. It allowed him to transcend tribal feuds and recruit talent from anywhere.
His reputation began to grow exponentially after this. He demonstrated an unprecedented ability to attract followers not through traditional tribal connections or inherited status,
It's just the usual way.
but through profound personal loyalty and proven merit. This radical meritocracy, so different from the old tribal ways, allowed talented individuals, even those from humble or less prestigious clans, to rise rapidly through the ranks based purely on their abilities.
Exactly. Figures like Jelmi, a commoner, and the young Subadai, who would become two of his greatest and most enduring generals.
Left legends in their own right.
They saw an unparalleled opportunity in his rising power. They weren't born to lead, but they earned it with Temujin.
But this growing influence, this revolutionary approach to leadership, eventually strained his relationship with Jamuka, his childhood friend and blood brother.
It inevitably created friction. Jamuka represented the traditional, aristocratic model of leadership, rooted in clan and lineage.
The old ways.
Precisely. Contrasting sharply with Temujin's new, radical meritocratic approach. Their conflict became inevitable, a true clash of ideologies and personal ambitions.
How long did this rivalry last?
Nearly 2 decades, marked by brutal battles, strategic betrayals, shifting alliances across the steppe. It was, as you said, a philosophical battle for the soul of Mongol society.
That's a crucial observation. It wasn't just personal, it was truly a fight for the future of Mongol society itself.
Absolutely. Jamuka clung to the past, to inherited power and rigid social structures, while Temujin was, in many ways, an accidental revolutionary who believed in a system where ability, not birth, determined one's place.
So what happened to Jamuka in the end?
He was eventually captured after years of this intense conflict. Temujin actually offered reconciliation.
Really? After everything?
It seems so. Maybe respect, maybe consolidating loyalty. But Jamuka refused. He requested instead a noble death without bloodshed, a death fitting for a prince according to steppe custom.
A noble death. How?
Honoring this ancient custom, Temujin had his back broken, a method of execution that ensured no blood was spilled.
Gruesome, but
Traditional. And he buried his remains with honor, a final, poignant respect to a formidable rival who had been both his greatest friend and his most dangerous adversary.
By 1206, after decades of relentless warfare, complex alliance building, and masterful political maneuvering, Temujin had achieved what no one before him had dared even dream.
The unification of all Mongol and Turkic tribes of the vast steppe.
A truly monumental, unprecedented feat, transcending centuries of intertribal strife. At a great assembly, a Kurultai, held near the sacred mountain of Buren Khaldun, he was formally proclaimed Genghis Khan.
The title Genghis Khan. It's usually translated as Oceanic Ruler or Universal Ruler.
Signifying boundless authority.
Exactly. Though some modern scholars suggest fierce ruler might be more accurate, given its etymological roots. Whatever the precise meaning, it marked the indelible birth of a unified Mongol nation, no longer just a collection of tribes, under his sole absolute leadership.
And his ambition, as you might expect, didn't stop at uniting the tribes. Standing before the assembled leaders at that Kurultai, beneath the vast, eternal blue sky, he made an astonishing declaration.
One that echoed across the steppe. He intended to bring the entire world under my hoofbeats.
Wow. Talk about ambition.
From that moment, the unified nomads, hardened by generations of intertribal warfare, turned their gaze beyond the steppe to the settled, often vastly richer civilizations that surrounded them.
His early reforms immediately began transforming this loose tribal confederation into an incredibly disciplined, efficient state. He instituted the Yasa.
Ah, yes, the Yasa, a comprehensive, unwritten, yet universally binding legal code.
What did it do, fundamentally?
It codified traditional steppe customs, but, crucially, established a common set of laws across all tribes, overriding old, often conflicting tribal customs. This wasn't merely a set of rules, it was psychological glue.
And binding them together.
Imagine tribes who've been warring for centuries, suddenly bound by a singular legal framework demanding shared loyalty not just to a chieftain, but to the Khan and the nation. This was the birth certificate of a unified identity.
Radically changing things.
And setting the stage for an empire. Not just raiding parties. He also created that revolutionary decimal military system.
Units of 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, the Tumans.
Exactly. Effectively dismantling old tribal loyalties and replacing them with allegiance directly to the Khan and the state.
He also established a rudimentary but incredibly effective bureaucracy, right? Picking literate people from conquered areas.
Yes, incorporating talent wherever he found it, and he formed an elite personal guard unit, the Kishik.
More than just bodyguards.
Much more. They were future generals, administrators, loyal only to him. Crucially, he systematically dismantled the old tribal aristocracy, promoting individuals based solely on loyalty and proven service rather than birth.
Meritocracy again.
And this new system was powerfully fueled by the promise of immense wealth and plunder from new conquests, creating an incentive structure that demanded frequent military campaigns. It was a machine designed for perpetual expansion.
An engine of both destruction and transformation.
Precisely.
So, with this newly unified nation, bolstered by a radical new political and military system, Genghis Khan now turned his attention outward, and the settled world was about to discover the terrifying efficiency and unprecedented scale of the Mongol war machine.
They had no idea what was coming.
What specifically made this force so devastatingly unstoppable? It really comes down to a few key innovations, starting with the legendary masterful horse archer.
That's absolutely right. The Mongol army wasn't just a collection of skilled warriors. It was a truly revolutionary military system, honed to perfection over generations.
Born to the saddle.
Literally. Mongol children learned to ride before they could walk, often strapped to the horse as infants, and began training with the composite bow from early childhood. By adulthood, a Mongol warrior was a master of the open steppe.
Hitting targets at full gallop.
With astonishing accuracy, yes, releasing multiple arrows in rapid succession, maneuvering with a precision that infantry-focused armies of the settled world could scarcely comprehend. They were just different.
And what about their primary weapon, the composite bow? You mentioned it was revolutionary. Help us visualize just how powerful this was.
Okay, so this wasn't just a bow. It was an engineering masterpiece for its time. Advanced material science, really.
How so?
Imagine laminated wood, horn, and sinew, painstakingly crafted and glued together to achieve incredible power. We're talking of a draw weight over 160 pounds.
160 pounds, that's immense strength.
Huge, and an effective range of up to 300 yards. To put that in perspective, tests show it could penetrate armor by 22 centimeters, significantly more than the vaunted English longbow.
Wow, so much for the longbow's reputation.
This meant Mongol archers could devastate enemy lines from vast distances, raining down a storm of arrows long before their foes could even respond or get within striking distance. It was a technological asymmetry that left European and Chinese armies bewildered and helpless.
And they had a unique firing technique, didn't they? The thumb draw. How did that help?
Yes, the thumb draw was crucial. Instead of using 2 or 3 fingers, they used their thumb, often protected by a ring. This allowed for a much faster release, but more importantly, it enabled them to shoot in all directions, from horseback forward, sides, and critically, backward over their horse's flanks.
The Parthian shot.
Exactly, that famous maneuver. It meant they were constantly a threat, even when seemingly retreating.
And each warrior was incredibly well equipped.
For self-sufficiency, yes. They carried 2 or 3 bows, maybe up to 300 arrows, including specialized armor-piercing and incendiary types, also smaller swords, light wicker shields, javelins, daggers for close combat.
And that silk undershirt trick?
Ah, yes, ingenious. Underneath their leather armor, they wore a raw silk undershirt. If an arrow struck, the silk wouldn't tear easily. Instead, it would wrap tightly around the arrowhead as it penetrated.
So it reduced the impact.
Reduced impact, yes, but more importantly, allowed for easier, less painful removal of the arrow with the silk still attached. Quicker battlefield first aid.
Brilliant in its simplicity. And the saddlebags.
Waterproof hide saddlebags, which could even be inflated for river crossings. Another testament to their self-sufficiency, minimizing the need for slow, vulnerable supply trains.
This brings us to their unparalleled operational mobility and logistics. Other medieval armies might cover, what, 10, 12 miles a day?
If they were lucky, yeah.
Yeah.
Bogged down by wagons, tired men.
But the Mongols, 60 to 160 miles a day, that's almost unbelievable speed for the time.
It was a system built entirely around the horse. Each warrior maintained a string of 3 to 5 horses.
3 to 5 each.
Yes, riding them in relays, switching mounts regularly to prevent exhaustion. This meant the horses were fresh. The army could maintain breakneck speeds for days on end, often arriving days, sometimes weeks, before any news of their approach.
Surprise was a weapon.
A huge one. And their self-sufficiency was legendary, a truly light and fast force. Warriors carried dried meat, paste-concentrated protein yogurt, and their staple fermented mare's milk, kumis.
Kumis. I've heard of that.
Not only nutritious, but also had antibiotic properties, helping prevent common campaign diseases like typhoid, which often decimated other armies.
Wow. Built-in medicine.
And in dire emergencies, they were even known to drink blood from their horses' veins to sustain themselves. Radically minimized reliance on slow supply lines, gave them unprecedented operational freedom.
And the climate helped, too.
Yes, it's worth noting. A warmer period starting in the 11th century improved steppe grass production, supporting the massive horse herds they needed. And they mastered winter warfare, using frozen rivers as highways to surprise opponents.
Beyond individual skills and logistics, they operated with ruthless organization, absolute discipline, and brilliant command. That decimal system, it wasn't just about numbers, was it?
No, it fundamentally shifted loyalty, replacing old tribal ties with direct, unshakable allegiance to the Khan.
And the meritocracy. How powerful was that in practice?
Truly fascinating. Leadership positions, even at the highest levels, were based purely on skill, loyalty, competence, not birth. A radical departure from feudal systems elsewhere.
So anyone could rise.
If they proved themselves, yes. A powerful incentive for competence and absolute dedication. But that came with severe, almost unfathomable discipline.
Like what?
Penalties for desertion, failing to retrieve a fallen comrade, not sharing plunder correctly, often instant death.
Instant death.
And the collective responsibility. If just one soldier disobeyed or deserted, the entire unit of 10 could be punished, even executed.
That is intense, creating terrifying cohesion. They also had the annual Great Hunt. More than just hunting, right?
Oh, much more. It was a massive military exercise disguised as a hunt. Crucial training for maneuvers, especially complex encirclement tactics.
Practicing in peacetime.
Exactly. Thousands of men systematically driving game into an ever-tightening circle. Sharpened communication, coordination, operating as a single organism, made complex maneuvers second nature in war.
Their intelligence gathering was also sophisticated.
Incredibly so. Before campaigns, Genghis dispatched merchants, spies, diplomatic missions to gather detailed, granular info on terrain, fortifications, political divisions, enemy leaders.
Even enemy personalities.
Yes, to predict reactions and weaknesses. And their communication system riders, signal fires, arrow messengers transmitted commands over vast distances at unprecedented speeds, coordinated attacks across enormous fronts, unparalleled strategic planning.
And then there's the psychological warfare. Strategic, brutal, effective.
Absolutely. Genghis Khan deliberately cultivated a fearsome, almost mythical reputation. Settlements that resisted were systematically annihilated, populations often massacred.
But those that surrendered?
Often spared, their skilled artisans conscripted. Survivors were then either incorporated into the army or, more chillingly, sent ahead to spread tales of utter devastation.
Creating a wave of fear.
Paralyzing fear. He famously rode his horse into the main mosque in Bukhara and declared himself the flail of God, telling them their destruction was divine punishment.
Calculated brutality, not random violence.
Precisely. A means to an end. Break the enemy's will, minimize further resistance. Examples abound. That Tangut general in 1209, executed by pouring molten silver into his eyes and ears.
Horrific.
A gruesome spectacle designed to send a clear, visceral message. And the systematic massacres in cities like Gurganj, Merv, Nishapur, Herat. Estimates of deaths from hundreds of thousands to over 1 million.
Turning farmland into desert.
Persian chroniclers wrote exactly that. Irrigation systems destroyed, land rendered uninhabitable, as one chronicler famously put it. They came, they destroyed, they burned, they killed, they plundered, they departed. Psychological warfare on a continental scale.
The policy was brutally clear. Surrender meant being spared. Artisans conscripted. Revolt meant total annihilation. Women, children, even animals. piles of skulls as warnings.
A highly effective, if terrifying, form of strategic deterrence, saved Mongol lives by discouraging resistance.
And their tactical masterstrokes were legendary. Deception, encirclement, the feigned retreat.
A signature tactic. Mongol forces appear to flee in disarray, drawing the enemy into a disorganized, overconfident pursuit, then suddenly turn, envelop, annihilate.
Where did they use that effectively?
Brilliantly executed at the Kalka River, later at Mohi in Hungary, Legnica in Poland, where they even used smoke bombs for disorientation. Another psychological layer.
Mastery of encirclement, too. Victories against vastly superior numbers.
Like at the Battle of Yuling in 1211, 100,000 Mongols trapped and destroyed a Jin army estimated over 500,000 strong.
Incredible odds.
At Mohi, they used a pontoon bridge, deliberately left gaps in their lines to funnel and slaughter fleeing Hungarians, turned escape into a trap.
And siege warfare. They weren't initially experts, right?
No, steppe nomads weren't siege experts. But they adapted with breathtaking speed, recruited Chinese engineers, built colossal catapults, trebuchets, some throwing car-sized rocks.
Car-sized rocks?
And terrifying firebombs made with tar, resin, animal fats. They even diverted entire rivers to flood besieged cities, like in western Xia and Gurganj. Turning the landscape itself into a weapon, their adaptability was key.
So, with this devastatingly effective war machine, Genghis Khan unleashed his forces. First major targets, the Western Xia, the Tanguts.
Yes, a sophisticated Buddhist kingdom in northwest China. Genghis initially raided them from 1205 to 1210. Not for conquest initially.
Just testing defenses.
Testing defenses, probing weaknesses, gathering intelligence, then forced them into submission, annual tribute. Their fateful error, their betrayal in Genghis Khan's eyes came in 1219.
What did they do?
They broke their oath, refused to provide troops for his campaigns in the West, incurred his final wrath.
From there, he turned to the mighty Jin dynasty in northern China.
Right. China was fragmented, the Jin were weakened. In 1211, Genghis launched a massive 100,000-man invasion, 3 columns, coordinated assault.
And the Battle of Yuling.
Mongols used feigned retreats, flanking maneuvers, encircled and destroyed a vastly larger Jin army. Reportedly killed an estimated 60,000 Jin soldiers in a single engagement, crippled their main force.
Then the siege of Zhongdu, modern-day Beijing, in 1215.
Yes, initially tough for the Mongols, but they adapted quickly with their new Chinese engineers, siege engines. The siege was brutal, protracted, led to the city's sacking, a horrifying population drop over 75%.
And the Jin emperor
Fled, abandoned his capital, fled to Kaifeng. A clear sign of the empire's fatal weakening. A psychological blow across Asia.
Now here's where we get into one of the most cataclysmic campaigns in human history. The Khwarezmian Campaign, 1218 to 1223, fundamentally reshaped Central Asia and the Middle East. What kicked it off?
A foolish and deeply insulting diplomatic incident. Shah Muhammad II of the powerful Khwarezmian Empire, vast, wealthy realm, modern Iran, Central Asia, Afghanistan.
What did he do?
Made a grave error. First, executed a Mongol trade caravan, falsely accusing them of espionage. Violated diplomatic norms.
Bad move.
Then, even worse, when Genghis Khan sent a diplomat to investigate and demand redress, the Shah executed him too. Sent his head back.
An unpardonable affront.
Absolutely. Genghis Khan, known for intense deliberation, spent 3 days in solitude communing with the eternal blue sky, Tengri, his deity.
Believing he received divine instruction.
Yes, and reportedly declared his absolute intent to reduce them to such a state that the hoofs of my horses might frolic in their palaces. This wasn't just punitive, it was personal, absolute.
And what followed was a strategic masterpiece of destruction. Shah Muhammad made a fatal mistake.
Yes, instead of concentrating his superior forces, maybe 400,000 men, he dispersed them into fortified cities, played right into Genghis Khan's hands.
And Genghis used disinformation.
Sowed chaos. Fabricated false decrees from the Shah's powerful mother, Turkan Khatun, to destabilize the empire from within, erode loyalty, multi-pronged assault, military and psychological.
The destruction was systematic, city by city. Otrar first.
The border city where the massacre occurred fell quickly in 1219 after a 5-month siege. Its governor, Inalchuk, executed. Molten silver poured into his eyes and ears.
That gruesome message again.
Chillingly effective. Bukhara, major cultural center, captured in just 2 weeks, 1220. Genghis rode his horse into the main mosque, desecrated it, declared himself the flail of God.
Samarkand, the capital.
Fell in just 10 days, 1220. Mongols used captured populations as human shields, driving them ahead. After its fall, 30,000 skilled artisans deported to Mongolia, many others massacred, calculated depopulation, resource extraction.
Gurganj, the capital of Khwarezm, resisted fiercely.
6 months in 1221. Incredible resolve. But when it fell, a notorious utter massacre. Almost every inhabitant killed, save some artisans.
And they flooded the city.
Deliberately diverted the Amu Darya River to flood the entire city, erased it from the map. Total obliteration.
Incredible destruction. Not just cities, the whole Khorasan region.
Merv, Nishapur, Herat. Systematically destroyed by Tului, Genghis' son, in 1221. Death estimates from hundreds of thousands to over 1 million. Fertile farmlands, irrigation systems deliberately destroyed, turned into desert. Permanently altered the ecology, demography.
They came, they destroyed, they burned, they killed, they plundered, they departed. Chillingly accurate.
Sums it up perfectly. Shah Muhammad himself fled, relentlessly pursued by generals Jaybi and Subutai. Died in isolation on an island in the Caspian Sea, 1221.
So in less than 5 years?
Genghis Khan controlled the vast majority of Central Asia, modern Iran, Afghanistan, parts of Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. The speed, scale, devastation, staggering.
Now, while Genghis was wrapping up in Khwarezm, his generals Jaybi and Subutai embarked on the Great Reconnaissance Raid into Europe.
Yes, a smaller force, maybe 20,000 men, but an astonishing 3-year, 5,500-mile journey gathering critical intelligence on the unknown West.
The 5,500 miles, mind-boggling.
An astonishing display of Mongol mobility, tactics, endurance. Swept through the Caucasus, twice defeating the powerful Georgian army easily. Used intel from Venetian merchants to destroy a Genoese trading colony on the Black Sea.
Showing their reach.
And then 1223, the Battle of the Kalka River in modern Ukraine. Decisive victory against a combined Cuman-Russian army.
An early, brutal Mongol presence on Europe's edge.
A profound warning that, tragically, almost no one fully heeded at the time. They underestimated the threat.
Genghis Khan himself returned east for his final campaign. Against the Tanguts again.
Yes, the Western Shia. They had betrayed him during the Khwarezmian campaign, refused troops, broke their oath. Unforgivable in his eyes.
So despite his age, mid-60s.
Remarkable age then. He personally led the punitive campaign, determined to deliver a final devastating lesson.
His final major battle.
Here's Zanjing, the Tangut capital. Defeated a relief force by riding over the frozen Yellow River floodplain. Again, using winter to his advantage. This was 1227.
And it was during this final campaign that Genghis Khan died. August 25, 1227, around 65. Theories vary.
Widely. Old arrow wound, fall from his horse, poisoning by a captured Tangut queen seeking revenge, maybe typhus. How in camp fever. The exact cause remains a mystery.
Regardless, his dying wish, recorded in the secret history, chilling.
Truly cruel. The complete extermination of the Tanguts, men, women, children, grandchildren. A genocidal command.
Wiping out an entire culture.
Systematically eradicated. Cities razed, books burned, population killed or enslaved. The Western Shia civilization literally disappeared from the historical map. A grim testament to his ruthless will.
And his burial, dictating terms, even in death.
Returned to Mongolia, buried in a secret, unmarked location. Knowledge suppressed by killing those involved. To this day, the exact tomb location remains one of history's great unsolved mysteries. Hidden somewhere near the Khenti Mountains. Adds to the mystique.
So we've seen the conqueror, the force of nature, but to understand his enduring impact, we need to see him as something more. A profound state builder.
Absolutely. He transformed a fragmented tribal confederacy into a powerful, unified nation-state.
Before him, warring tribes.
Over 30 of them, constantly feuding. He transcended these rivalries, replaced disparate loyalties with a shared identity, allegiance to the Khan and the nation.
Gave them a common language, laws.
Even rudimentary education.
Yeah.
A monumental leap from their previous existence. Ruthless, yes, but also incredibly pragmatic and visionary.
And central to this was the Yasa, that revolutionary legal code. More than just rules.
Much more. It was the psychological glue, a unifying framework. Codified step customs, but established common laws for everyone. Overriding old tribal conflicts.
Strict rules, severe punishments.
Yes, for lying, contaminating water, not sharing food offenses against the collective. Harsh, though wealthy Mongols could sometimes pay fines. But the enlightened elements are remarkable.
Ah, yes, the religious tolerance. This is genuinely surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
Flips the barbaric image.
Precisely. A profound paradox. Brutal conquests, yet remarkably enlightened governance on this front. And incredibly shrewd.
He tolerated different faiths.
Despite his own shamanistic beliefs, yes. Maintained a consistent policy of absolute religious tolerance. Buddhists, Muslims, Nestorian Christians, Confucians. He famously stated, "I do not distinguish the merit of one religion above another."
Radical for the time.
And practical.
Yep.
Fostered exchange, prevented internal strife, ensured stability, gained support of powerful religious leaders who often got generous tax exemptions, made them allies.
He also built an impressive imperial administration, that elite guard, the Kishig, more than warriors.
Yes. Also handled intelligence, surveying, map-making, supply organization. A mobile administrative corps. He valued efficiency.
Even used a mobile HQ, a giant yurt.
Some sources say 10 meters across, 5'6" high. Allowed him to govern from anywhere, even on campaign. But perhaps the most enduring innovation was the YAM system.
The postal service. Groundbreaking.
Highly efficient courier service. Network of post stations roughly a day's ride apart. Fresh horses, provisions, accommodation.
Allowed incredibly rapid communication.
Up to 250 miles a day in urgent cases. Transmitted commands, intel across thousands of miles. Also used by merchants, missionaries, facilitated trade, cultural exchange.
We internet of its day.
A good analogy. And adaptable to dog sleds in the north, camels in Central Asia, yaks in Tibet.
Yeah.
Connected the entire empire.
And Karakoram, the capital founded by his son Ogode.
Became a vibrant, multicultural center. Testament to the empire's ability to draw diverse talents. Chinese architects designed the palace. A Parisian goldsmith made a silver fountain dispensing drinks.
A Parisian goldsmith. Wow.
Symbolized gathering talent from across the known world, regardless of origin. A hub where cultures, technologies, ideas converged.
This all leads to the paradox of the conqueror. Not psychopathic, but calculated.
That's one perspective. Violence serving a grand vision of empire, strategic control, unlike rulers killing for sadistic pleasure like Caligula. His psyche was incredibly complex, driven by unshakable will.
Some sources mention almost animalistic traits, his drive.
Yes, including an unquenchable hunger for sex, collecting empresses, princesses as trophies. Which brings us to that remarkable biological legacy.
The Genghis Khan effect.
Genetic studies speculate maybe 8% of men across a vast swath of Asia, estimated 16 million worldwide, carry a direct Y chromosome lineage traceable back to him and his male descendants.
16 million men. Astonishing. A direct genetic imprint.
A profound thought. He believes his commands came from God, Tengri, the eternal blue sky. That God had granted the Mongols the world, saw himself as the punishment of God.
His ambition wasn't just conquest.
No, he intended to fundamentally transform the world order, create a single, unified global system under Mongol rule. As one source notes, conquering's easy, but ruling is complicated. Highlights his creative approach to governance, built a system for more than just war, laid groundwork for unprecedented connectivity.
And this brings us to the astonishing period known as the Pax Mongolica, the Mongol Peace, under his successors Ogode, Kuyuk, Mongke, Kublai Khan.
A truly golden age. Mid-13th century. Remarkable stability, immense prosperity, unprecedented cultural exchange. A stark contrast to the preceding devastation.
How transformative was it?
For the first time, travelers could journey safely from the Yellow Sea to Hungary across Eurasia under a single authority. The Silk Road, perilous for centuries, now operated with unprecedented efficiency, security.
How did they ensure safety?
Caravanserais, fortified way stations established systematically.
Yep.
Provided food, shelter, fresh mounts protection, banditry ruthlessly suppressed, long-distance travel safer than ever.
Economic innovations, too.
Significant ones. Taxation, while often heavy, was systematized, predictable. Replaced arbitrary levies which actually encouraged commerce to recover.
And tax exemptions continued.
Generously granted for religious institutions, skilled artisans, recognized their importance beyond military might and paper money.
Adopted empire-wide by Kublai Khan.
Yes, in the Yuan dynasty, 400 years before it became widespread in Europe. Truly advanced economic thinking.
This period also saw incredible technological and cultural diffusion.
Rapid spread. Innovations previously isolated has now traveled freely along imperial trade routes, accelerated by the YAM system. Crucial advancements. Gunpowder, printing techniques, astronomical instruments, mathematical concepts. Spreading, influencing the European Renaissance.
A true East-West exchange. Massive knowledge transfer.
Crops like rhubarb, lemons, carrots moved west. Advanced Islamic medical knowledge reached China. Chinese techniques silk. Porcelain traveled west. Even art and fashion blended.
Like those gold-woven fabrics.
Yes. Using a new, cheaper method with gold foil on hides. Directly influenced Italian silk weavers, European luxury goods.
Architecture, too.
That remarkable mausoleum in Iran with its novel double-shelled dome. A blueprint influencing later structures like the Taj Mahal.
And astronomy. Kublai Khan built observatories.
2 major ones, Iran and China. brought together leading scientists from different traditions, created more accurate calendars, advanced astronomical tables.
This open-mindedness fostered religious and intellectual exchange.
Absolutely. Tolerance led to scholarly debate, dialogue between Buddhist monks, Muslim imams, Christian priests, Confucian scholars at imperial courts, intellectual ferment.
Even Buddhist temples depicted Genghis Khan as a deity.
A remarkable example of cultural synthesis, showed a willingness to absorb and integrate, not just conquer.
However, for all its achievements, the Pax Mongolica contained the seeds of its own decline. Succession crises were a major factor.
Brutal ones. Death of Genghis Khan in 1259 triggered civil war between his brothers Kublai and Arik Boke, led to the permanent split into four major, increasingly independent Khanates.
Which were?
Yuan Dynasty, China, Chagatai Khanate, Central Asia, Ilkhanate, Persia, and the Golden Horde, Russia, Western Steppe. Sheer size made central control incredibly difficult without a strong, undisputed leader.
This also led to an ideological split, Kublai moving the capital.
Yes, his decision to move the capital to Beijing, establishing the Yuan dynasty, adopting more Chinese practices, deeply alienated traditional steppe aristocracy, highlighted growing, irreconcilable tension between nomadic traditions and sedentary governance. The empire's identity fractured.
Ecological factors, too, the Little Ice Age,
Played a subtle but significant role. Late 13th, early 14th centuries reduced grass production on the steppe, undermined the pastoral economy supporting the horse herds, the foundation of their military and lifestyle, literally pulled the grass out from under them.
And then disease, tragic irony.
Their own success enabled it. The unprecedented connectivity allowed the Black Death, likely originating in Central Asia or China, to spread with terrifying speed along those same trade routes mid-14th century.
Devastating population.
Estimated 30–50% mortality across Eurasia. Severely disrupted economies, supply chains, social structures. Irrevocably weakened all successor khanates.
Military decline also set in.
Gradually, generations raised in palaces lost the formidable martial skills, resilience, endurance of their ancestors. Opponents adapted Mongol tactics, technology. Mongols faced defeats, naval expeditions to Japan, Vietnam, unfamiliar terrain, chipped away at their invincibility.
And the ideological balance was lost.
The initial synthesis gave way. Either excessive conservatism clinging to old ways, or excessive assimilation into local cultures, undermined the unified Mongol identity Genghis Khan had forged.
Leading inevitably to dissolution, the Yuan dynasty in China
Faced internal tensions, natural disasters, currency collapse, Black Death, overthrown by the native Ming dynasty in 1368, end of Mongol rule there.
the Ilkhanate in Persia.
Collapsed mid-14th century into regional dynasties. Later, Ilkhans converted to Islam, but wounds of conquest, economic issues remained, hindered long-term stability.
The Golden Horde in Russia, Western Steppe.
Fragmented into competing hordes. Rising Grand Duchy of Moscow asserted independence, gradually absorbed these territories over centuries. End of the Mongol yoke.
The Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia.
Split into Western Islamized and Eastern nomadic realms. Descendants like Timur, Tamerlane claimed connection, launched new conquests echoing the past. Much later, Baluur established the Mughal Empire in India.
Mogul from Mongol.
Exactly. Preserved the memory of its origins. Shows the far-reaching influence.
And in Mongolia itself, the Northern Yuan.
The last direct political connection to the imperial legacy in its homeland, gradually fragmented, absorbed by the rising Manchu Qing dynasty in the 17th century. Final end to a direct imperial connection there.
But even with this decline, the enduring legacy, the Genghis Khan effect remains biologically.
That specific Y chromosome lineage in maybe 8% of men across a vast region of Asia today, estimated 16 million worldwide, linked to the Mongol expansion, reproductive opportunities for the elite, a biological fingerprint.
Staggering, literally carrying his lineage, linguistically and culturally.
Turkic languages spread widely. Countless cultural practices, cuisine, clothing, administration, military organization, still show Mongol influence, adapted, integrated locally.
Geographically, too, borders.
Many contemporary national borders in Central Asia still approximate former imperial divisions. For modern Mongolians, the imperial period remains immense national pride, identity, a golden age.
But elsewhere, like Russia.
The legacy, the Mongol yoke, is far more complex, contested, reflects different experiences of conquest.
Ultimately, the Mongols, more than just conquerors.
Increasingly understood by historians as complex, highly organized, surprisingly open-minded people. Permanently altered societies, facilitated unprecedented global trade, technological diffusion, cultural exchange, transformed the world not just through destruction but connection, even in decline.
As we wrap up this deep dive, let's reflect on Genghis Khan's truly incredible journey. From abandoned outcast
Surviving the harsh steppe.
to strategic architect of the largest contiguous land empire in history, astonishing ambition, relentless drive, profound transformation.
Embodied both terrifying destruction and remarkable, surprising innovation in state building, forever altered human civilization.
It's a complex and challenging legacy, isn't it? His ruthlessness is undeniable, causing unimaginable suffering.
But so too are his revolutionary ideas about meritocracy, religious tolerance, efficient state building. Unified a disparate people, created systems transcending tribalism, fostered unprecedented global exchange.
Indeed. The Pax Mongolica, born from his conquests, connected East and West previously unimaginable ways, spread goods, ideas, technologies, laid foundations for future global developments. Though his empire fragmented, its impact resonated for centuries.
Marked everything from trade routes to culture to our very genetic makeup.
So as you go about your day, perhaps consider this provocative thought. Genghis Khan, a figure of such paradox and power, left an indelible mark far beyond his empire's physical boundaries. How much of the modern world's interconnectedness, its global trade networks, its technological diffusion, maybe even its genetic makeup across Asia, truly began with those thunderous hoofbeats on the steppe, set in motion by the vision and ruthless will of a boy named Temujin?
What does his complex legacy mean for our understanding of power, civilization itself, and the enduring influence of a single individual's transformative vision? Something to think about.